You know this stuff when you start a new TV series instead of doing your homework, or when you've meant to apply for a new job for the past 5 months but you're still working on your CV? Yes, it's called procrastination, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We invited an RWTH counselor to discuss this topic of constantly putting off the stuff you need to do. He told us a bit of the origins of this phenomenon and how to deal with that when it becomes a real issue, so that you can go and seek counseling in the university. Yeah, enjoy, and hopefully everyone will stop putting off the stuff they gotta do. Could you please introduce yourself a bit?
My name is Valentin Tran. I'm psychologist here at the university, and I do counseling, I do training for students. For example, to the topic of procrastination, exam anxiety, etc.
And how often do students in general come to you with the problem of procrastination?
I would say about 15 to 20%.
That's kind of a big amount. Why do people procrastinate in general?
Why do we procrastinate? Well, let me describe it with a comparison. Imagine you should climb up a mountain. What could be the reasons to delay the ascent? There's not one reason. Often it is a mix of internal and external factors. Climbing up a mountain requires energy. Delaying means saving energy. In general, we try to avoid unpleasant feelings and look for more pleasant feelings, even by a less unpleasant activity. Clean your room instead of begin to learn.
Like, which internal factors could cause procrastination?
Well, one internal factor can be the too high expectation you have for yourself, like the motto, every step must fit perfectly. It can be a very, very high attention, and it can blockade you. For
this not having the right technique or tools, what example could be in our student life?
Don't have a plan, you have a big mountain and you cannot divide it into a small part. There was a student who wants to study in 4 hours for the next day. It doesn't work. He got panic attack. It's like when you run up too fast a mountain, your heart begin to pump. Important also to plan reserve time, for bad weather. It can be that I'm afraid and I don't trust myself to be successful. I'm afraid of criticism. I'm afraid of judging by others, and so I avoid. I do not climb up, so I cannot be judged by anyone. Maybe I need a reason to justify it, that my result is not good. So I start late, and when I start late, the result cannot be good. So I have a reason. Sometimes there is what we call reactance or resistance. Maybe others, like parents, like teachers, have forced the mountain to me. And it's not my mountain. Maybe I don't like mountain, but I like the sea. I cannot say no actively. Procrastinating can be a passive way of resistance.
What for the external factors?
External factors can be the lack of capacity. Maybe the mountain is too high for me, but I don't want to admit it. Distraction can be a big factor, and it's difficult to keep oneself away from them.
Are there any types of people who procrastinate?
There is a very popular distinction between people who avoid and put off tasks because of fear, of anxiety, and people who need high pressure to get started. There's no scientific evidence for that. So the overlapping is big. So what we find is we find people with different reasons, but not really types.
What are the ways to cope with procrastination?
Two coping approaches you can find. The first coping strategy focus more on the emotional and the motivational aspect. The second focus on technical, instrumental aspects. For the first approach, people try to promote positive emotion and to promote positive motivation. What you can do is, for example, you can do a motive check. A student wants to study something different, but for reasons of prestige, her parents have strongly forced her to study engineering at the excellent university. It can cause an inner conflict and leads to procrastination. Becoming aware of this inner conflict, of this inner tension, can loosen the blockade. And it's helpful to reflect, to talk with someone, other people about that. It can be useful to take a minimum of time, at least 20 minutes, to sit down at one task. For example, make a tea, look up at the overview of the task, of the agenda, can help you to get warm also. What you can do is to promote a friendly atmosphere also with yourself. Interrupt the negative circle of bad conscience or bad emotion. Focus on the positive steps, the positive progress. Allow yourself to do mistakes. Allow yourself not to be perfect. You try, you fail, try it again, fail better. Positive motivation, positive emotion, it is not automatically given, but it's like a plant. It's like a flower plant. You have to water, you have to take care of it. Give time also to be patient with it.
And what about those students or people in general who have anxiety?
Anxiety can protect us to much risk and danger, but it can be a blockade and we run away. So in that case, we offer training to cope with anxiety, or in more serious case, maybe people can join the counseling or join psychotherapeutic support. In the counseling and support, you can learn not to run away from fear, but to accept and to use the fear, the anxiety, as a protective agent, a protective commilitone.
What are the exact techniques to cope with it?
Approach which focus on methods includes basics of studying tools like divide and conquer, how to structure, how to make a plan. We've used some film tutorials talking about these points, how to learn effective. It's also helpful to go out to separated learning spaces, like to go to the library, to the learning rooms at the faculties, because there you find more social support and it's easier to get in this state of learning. At home you can, for example, you can create a separated account for learning, like a tea or coffee, and then to give you a signal it's time to work. The smartphone is a big source of distractions. It's good when you put it away. Often people try to do too much and then they have, it's the long way, I have to make a break. What can help is you can plan, you can make a good agenda for the maximum and then you cut off 50%. That's more realistic to cope with. And if you have more time, you can go on. Already fulfilled your first task. So it can be more positive. Time restriction method. It's a very effective way. The way is you define, for example, exactly 2 time windows where you can study, where you can work during the day. The windows have fixed starting and ending times. Working outside this windows is strictly forbidden. Starting on time, then pays off. The principle of this approach is the shortage of time It makes the time more valuable. In our training, tackling instead of procrastinating, we train together with students. Another very effective factor is like climbing up a mountain. It's good to go with others in a team. In a team, you can keep on a constant rhythm. It's good also for critical moments, no? When you fall down, when you are tired, no? Others can carry you on.
When can procrastination become really problematic?
Procrastination can help to avoid unpleasant feelings. But in long terms, however, a negative circle can begin. No? The longer I avoid, the longer I procrastinate tasks, the less power, the less training I have, the more energy I need to start. When I cope with the task, it's okay. But often it's impossible. Anger, frustration with yourself, financial problems, bad conscience, negative self-image, anxiety, depression can be consequences. If you cannot get out it yourself, it's good to go to join counseling. The earlier you look for support, the easier it's to get a solution. But procrastination is not only negative. Procrastination does not harm and can be positive. And for some people who work too much, procrastination can be helpful to keep work-life balance and to enjoy life.
Thank you very much for a fruitful conversation. I hope it's going to help a lot of students. And just to wrap it up, which one advice would you give to all the students in terms of procrastination?
Try together, do not try alone. Don't hesitate to look for help, to look for support, or to look for counseling.
Thank you very much. See you hopefully in the next videos.
Thank you.